everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the first ever brilliant move on chess.com. But before I show you guys the first ever brilliant move on chess.com, I want to show you guys the first of every single type of move. So, blunder, miss, mistake, inaccuracy, book, good, excellent, best, great, and brilliant. Now, in the first ever game on chess.com, we got 7 of these moves. In fact, we got all the types of moves except for miss, blunder, and brilliant, which is kind of interesting. So the first ever move on chess.com, and also the first book move, is e4. And we did not get a new type of move until move 6, where we get knight bd7. So the second ever move on chess.com, or the second ever type of move on chess.com, is an inaccuracy. And after castles, we get our third type of move, a best move. And we get some best moves, we get an inaccuracy, until we finally get our new type of move, an excellent move. So now we have 4 of the types of moves covered. We have book, excellent, best, and inaccuracy. And after bishop b7, we get another new type of move, a good move. So after h5, queen e7, hxg6, fxg6, bishop c4, king h8, knight h3, exd4, we just keep on getting the same type of moves until we finally get our next new type of move, bishop e2, which is a mistake. The reason this is a mistake is because you're just supposed to take the knight because your bishop is very powerful. Now, if you guys want to see this game into a full depth analysis, I have a video called The First Game on Chess.com, which you guys can look at. I'll have a link in the description. And if you want to look at the game in general, I'll also have that in the description. And finally, the last new type of move we get on Chess.com is a great move, knight xg6, and after they win the queen, and g5, this game ends. So we're still missing a miss, a blunder, and a brilliant. Now, we don't get our first ever blunder until game number 4 on chess.com. After e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, e6, knight c3, a6, we get out of theory. So we get d3, d6, castles, b5, bishop b3, and after a5, we finally get the first ever blunder, d4. And after d4, we get c4, which traps the bishop. That's why this was a blunder, because you were protecting this square originally. So I could analyze the rest of this game, but I don't want to because I want to move on to the next game. If you guys want to see the rest of this game, I will have this in the description also. So we don't get the first ever miss until game number 8, which ironically also has the exact same person, which is, I can't really pronounce her name. But after e4, d6, knight f3, we actually get this one really quickly. Knight f6, bishop c4, this hangs a pawn, but instead of taking this pawn, we get g6, the first ever miss on chess.com. So, yeah, that's every single type of move except for brilliant so far. I would analyze the rest of this game, but if we want to get to the brilliant, I think we all do, so I'll have this game in the description. And the game that we finally get the brilliant move is this game right here. This is the 23rd game on chess.com. Now, for some reason, they skip a couple numbers. Like, I think game number 14 just doesn't show up. So, most likely, this could have been slightly earlier, or maybe they just don't have analysis for that game, because the game might have been too short. So, after e4, e5, we get f4. So, we get a king's gambit. And after exf4, knight f3, g5, h4, we're still in theory. We get g4, knight e5. And h5, bishop c4, we're still in book moves. And after knight h6, we finally leave the book moves, and we get d4. So white is actually playing this very strong. Like, usually when you play King's Gambit, it's usually like minus 0.5, but right here it is plus 0.1, which is pretty rare for white. After d6, knight d3, bishop e7, we get castles, which we get another miss here, which is pretty funny. And after bishop e6, bishop e6, fxe6, we get knight f4. And after king d7, the king is kind of running, but black's position is crumbling pretty fast. And white trades away their knight for a bishop. And after the bishop goes to that square, we get e5, d5. They couldn't take because it would weaken the king a lot. Actually, I think you'd probably get checkmated pretty soon there. So yeah, we get d5, c4. And basically white is trying to bulldoze the position. We get queen a4, king c7, and we're super close to the brilliant move. So after knight c3, a6, rook ac1, knight c6, rook f6, and rook e8, we finally get the first ever brilliant move on chess.com, knight takes d5. It's a pretty nice move, actually. The first ever brilliant, it's not like a move to win some material. Actually, it is a move to win some material, but it's not like a really basic brilliant move, but in fact, it actually does a lot more. And after a rook sacrifice next, in fact, the engine actually prefers this rook sack, but the other rook sack works too. The queen takes, and after king b8, white takes the rook, and after king b7, we get queen c8, and black resigns the game. So that was every single first type of move on chess.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.